Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to your favorite show on the interwebs, the show that talks about retro stuff with retro style and retro people. Yep, that's right. We are old, and we're here to talk about our favorite things from our childhood, and that is 80s cartoons. We're continuing this series with my favorite people in the world. We've got Magica Dispel herself, Amy.
So we, this week, watched one of the highest rated episodes of this show, as we usually do on this program, but I can't help but notice that the plot is exactly the same as the lowest rated X-Files episode that I did. Just saying.
and we've also got the closest to Scottish we're ever going to get, Travis.
So a long time ago, I was exploring some caves in Australia, and I found this old didgeridoo. It was in a big stone box, so I brought it home. And it was fine, but I started playing it, and then anytime somebody around me would copy something, it would just start making this weird noise and say, you are cribbing. It was weird.
And finally, if you could combine Huey, Dewey, and Louie into one person, you would get him. It's Audie.
Life is like a tornado here on the internet. Twitter, Facebook, where to go? Blue Sky, Instagram, or Threads? Why try not listening to Nostalgia Talking Podcast? Woo! Those were the days we try to make you podcast. Woo! Friends now talking and fun, laughing in casts. Nostalgia has come back, and all this TV we watched and look back. What to do? Just listen to some podcasts. Woo! Those were the days we tried to make you podcast. Woo! Friends now talking and fun laughing in cast. Woo! Not broke leg cast or pottery cast. No podcast. Woo!
It is Audie covered in blood, like the goat that he is. That was wonderful.
Thanks, everybody.
That.
All right, we'll see you next week.
Yeah, so it was great chatting tonight. We'll see you later. If you did not pick up from all that, we're watching what might be one of the most celebrated cartoons in all of cartoon history, and that is DuckTales. This show was a gem, one of my favorites as a kid, which is obvious because I picked it. But I'd love to know how everyone else felt about DuckTales back in the day, starting with Amy.
I love DuckTales. This definitely falls into that category, though, of like, I couldn't tell you anything. Like, I don't know anything. I don't remember anything specific. But DuckTales. Like, obviously, right?
Like,
right?
duh.
Like,
Yeah.
Of course I did. I had to have. It's DuckTales.
I feel like it's hard
But
to
I wouldn't
talk
sign an
about it.
affidavit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Everyone knows the song. Everyone knows they watched it. It's like, yeah, duh, DuckTales.
I mean, because it was a Disney show, and I didn't have cable.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? But my best friend Doug did, and I was always we were always at each other's houses. So, like, the likelihood that I watched it at his house was high. But you know what I mean? Like, but I'm like, oh, but I don't know, man. I mean, I assume I've watched quite a bit of it because obviously it's DuckTales. I did love Mickey's Christmas Carol, was always one of my favorites, so I do have a very soft spot for Scrooge McDuck.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, still maybe my favorite Christmas Carol. It and the Muppets are not tied because I love Muppets Christmas just a scotch better.
I saw a great thing that pointed out that Muppet Christmas Carol probably uses the most of Dickens's actual text of any of the adaptations of A Christmas Carol.
Of course.
Yeah. The Muppets are serious about their art. We will get back there. Don't worry about that, ladies and gentlemen. But next up, Travis, how's DuckTales fare in your history?
Look, I watched a lot of DuckTales growing up. I'm kind of in the same boat though. Like I couldn't tell you specific plots, but they don't really matter. What mattered were the characters. It was Uncle Scrooge, it was Huey, Dewey, and Louie, who are the same person. Um,
Yeah.
in fact, in this episode, there's a part where they're not color coded, and I had no idea which one was which because it doesn't matter. They're just the same duck. Um, but
It's not
it
like
was
the
like
chipmunks.
right. But yeah, like you remember Launchpad McQuack and Gizmo Duck and all of the characters in this, the Beagle Boys,
Yeah.
and I played the hell out of the NES game DuckTales as well. Um,
Mm.
that was a big one for me. So, and really a lot of these, and it was weird because we didn't have the Disney Channel, but I watched so many of these Disney cartoons because they would run on other stations because they made them straight to syndication. So,
Yeah, that's true.
Gummy Bears, DuckTales,
Mhm.
Chippendales Rescue Rangers, Tailspin, they all were in that same era and they all had bangers for opening themes. Every single one
Mhm.
of them is just a total earworm. They were
Mhm.
super smart that way. So, yeah, I loved DuckTales, still do. It's just fantastic. And Scrooge is great because of my love for Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. How about you, Audie?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Watch the ever loving crap out of DuckTales. Yes, it does have, I would say, the best theme song of anything. I was talking to a friend about this, and we were like, "Yeah, it's the goat of theme songs for cartoons. Period. There's
I
some that
will
come
say,
close, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what I thought the lyrics of the end of the song were, but I did not know them until watching today with subtitles on because I watch everything with subtitles on because I'm 43 years old. And I was like, oh, I don't know what I thought those lyrics were, but here we are, I guess. Okay. It just
There's
goes
Yeah.
so
so
hard at
much.
the end
it does.
that
Yeah.
it didn't
Yes.
matter.
Uh-huh. But yeah, I watched the crap. Like I remember because it definitely came out in syndication. I definitely
Mhm.
remember watching the TV movie that was the
Oh, yeah.
first episodes of the series, and I remember we recorded it on VHS and had that and watched that over and over. Just that movie
Mhm.
because it was so well done, and so much fun to watch. And then watching all of it, and then yes, playing the ever loving crap out of the NES game for sure, to the point where I remember years ago finding somebody did a remix and orchestral version of the Moon theme,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
one of
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite pieces of music I've ever heard. Like I still listen to it over and over all the time just because it is so well done. And I love the lore surrounding DuckTales so much that when they did the reboot, they incorporated that theme into the canon of the show as an actual song.
Nice.
Love
Yes.
that.
So like you knew the people who were rebooting the series were fans of the show and the NES game and all of it. So yeah, DuckTales, it really is just the best.
So we all
I'm trying
like
really
it,
hard not to say woo after every
dude.
time we say
Right?
DuckTales.
It's it's such a prolific theme song that I think I might have
Mhm.
mentioned this last week. Can't remember if it was after we went off the air. But I went to see Jimmy Eat World live, and prior to them playing, their opener was a band that did like fun songs, and they covered
Mhm.
Ducktales. And like hearing
Nice.
a bunch of people do woo just out of nowhere is the best thing
Nice.
in the world. It was so much fun.
Same
It's
friend
a
I was talking
song.
to about same
Go
friend I
ahead,
was
buddy.
talking to about the theme song. I was like, yeah, at some point we're gonna have to do a whole episode just on theme music and theme songs.
Oh
Theme
yeah,
songs
Like,
and commercials. Those are
yeah,
our
commercials.
two, like,
Yep.
We need to pull the trigger on
yeah.
that at some point.
yeah, we
It
We
do.
just
Well,
really
we'll
get
do.
do
there.
it. It's a good holiday thing to do.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's really
Yeah,
fun.
yeah.
that's true.
I mean, I've got always
And I
stuck in my
mean,
head. I feel like Chicken Tonight and Ducktales Woo
Mhm.
always
yep.
rotation.
Well, even today, I was out walking Bella, and the Ducktales theme was running through my head all day
Oh yeah,
because I was thinking about talking about it tonight, and I'd watched the episode. But then it would dovetail into the Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers theme
Mhm.
for a little bit,
oh
and then
man,
Right.
Tailspin would jump in there for a
Oh
minute,
yeah.
yeah.
and I must have just looked like a more of a crazy person than usual walking around my neighborhood with all these songs going through my head.
Well, it's
Yeah.
funny when you listen to them on like any music app or something that's what'll start. The algorithm is like, oh, you want cartoon theme song?
Mhm.
Sure. And they're
Right?
just like, and I'm
I
like,
got
yes,
you.
yes,
Yeah,
bring it.
play all the hits. Yeah, it's fun. Like I don't know if it was their intention, but Disney's recycling of characters for Disney Channel shows like DuckTales and Tailspin and stuff. I mean, to me, in my
Mhm.
head canon, I know Baloo is in Jungle Book. I know a version of
Yeah.
Baloo is in Robin Hood. But the Baloo I know and love wears a jacket and flies a prop plane.
Yeah, it
like
Mhm.
does.
that's I
Absolutely.
love that they did that, and those are the ones that live in my head rent free.
What was great was this era of Disney animation was so good at taking a little bit from the established canon, but
Hmm.
not like at one point this show DuckTales was going to have Donald in it all the time
Mhm.
and
Hmm.
like Mickey and Goofy and everybody showing up, and they sort of quickly realized no, that's going to detract from Scrooge and
Yeah.
the nephews and like the main story
Yeah.
if
Mhm.
they keep popping in. So that's where Donald goes off to the Navy
Right.
and he's not around and he just makes occasional appearances and you don't ever get Mickey, you don't ever get Goofy.
Mhm.
And they made it about these characters, and Tailspin did the same thing where you've got secondary characters and then they make up a couple new ones. Because
Hmm.
almost all the characters in DuckTales are from the old comic books,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Right.
Scrooge,
Yep.
Uncle Scrooge comics. Um, Most of the characters were, including a character that was in this episode that was partially inspired by Morticia Adams.
Oh,
Mhm.
really?
Hmm.
Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Ah.
I kept thinking, like I was writing down characters' names as I was watching them. They didn't say magic at a spell for a while. You just kind of had the character
Mhm.
there, and I kept thinking Morgana, and I was like, no,
Hmm.
that's like Morgan Le Fay. And then I was
Yep.
like, then Morticia says she's like this amalgamation of other things. But yeah, they definitely borrow from play. Her voice actress, by the way, like went for it. I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
Loved
Yeah, she
everything
did.
about it.
Well, that was June Foray. That's
Hmm.
Rocket J Squirrel.
Mhm.
Oh, no way. I didn't know
Hmm.
that was Rocky.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
Mhm.
You want to
And
talk
she's
about a
the grandma
subject of
in Mulan.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh. Well, how about that?
Yeah,
Well,
June Foray is right up there with like she's up there in Frank Welker territory of like she just was in
Yeah.
everything
just
for
Mhm.
everywhere.
decades. By the way,
Yeah.
Frank Welker in this episode. So everybody
I
take a
mean,
drink. Frank Welker. He
Of
was
course
he
he
was the
was.
voice of Poe the Raven.
Oh, all right.
Oh, I was gonna guess the Minotaur.
No, I know who the Minotaur was. The
He
Minotaur
probably
is Jim Cummings from a mile away, right? Was it was it Jim
I,
Cummings? Because
Oh,
I don't know that
probably.
where it was.
that sounded very Frank Welkery, but there was nothing in the credits to say who did that.
It had that gravel Jim Cummings uses when he does an angry villain, almost like a Pete from Goof Troop. Had a Pete
Yeah.
vibe going in that rah, 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 the little sample that we got of voice.
Yeah, that they just used over and over.
Mhm.
Yeah, it sounded like maybe Jim Cummings stubbed his toe. That's what I had. But going back to the song a little bit, because I did honestly, this is a show about a cartoon, but it's mostly a show about a song. It's, it was written by Mark Mueller in 45 minutes. He got the note that Disney was looking for a song about a cartoon bunch of ducks, so he's just going around. These are people where hit tunes just fall out of them, you know? But the thing
Hmm.
is, he didn't have that many hits over the course of his career. Like, this is probably the thing. He's like, oh, yeah, I did this song, and this song, and this song, but everyone remembers him from doing the DuckTales theme. He made $1,250 for the song from Disney, but only if it aired. So he worked so hard on it, and then he sent it to them, just hoping that it would be the song they picked. Because they said they didn't want a cartoon song. One of their most number one rules, like, don't make us a cartoon song. Make us a song.
it's not. It goes so
Yeah.
hard.
I love it. I'll
Exactly.
have to
Yeah.
find it. There's a TikTok guy that does stuff like this, and it's like, he does his acting like, hey, we need a theme song for this, and just kind of do it, and it just
Mhm.
is him doing instruments going so hard for whatever theme song. So
Oh,
I'm sure he's got
I've seen
one
that
for
guy.
DuckTales.
He,
I know he's
Oh, I
got
bet.
did one for Power Rangers that was hilarious, and other shows like that.
X-Men.
and
Mhm.
like I mentioned it earlier, but like Gummy Bears was a couple of years before this. So DuckTales was 1987, Gummy Bears was 1985, and the
Mhm.
Gummy Bears theme song will
Oh,
get stuck
yeah.
in your head, and it's a
Yeah.
really good one.
Yeah.
And they just kept that going, like all the way through Darkwing Duck and into the 90s and all those shows. Like
Yep.
they knew if you have a good theme, you're gonna draw people in.
Yeah.
Like it just makes sense. Put the money there. Also, this was a show that was a little bit of a risk because they did it straight to syndication.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't normal for them at the time, but from what I read, Bob Iger was like, you know what, let's do that. And they spent the money to put this out. So it was like $275,000 per episode to
Oh,
make
wow.
this in $1987.
Was it was
And
Bob Iger who made that call?
I was it maybe it wasn't Bob
Or
Iger,
was
maybe
Michael
it was a different
Eisner?
Eisner. That's
Would
what it
have to been
was.
Eisner,
Okay.
yeah.
I was
Iger,
like, Bob
Eisner,
Iger's
I
been
don't
at
know.
Disney's a long time. This is early.
Yeah, it was
early
Michael
career.
Eisner. That's who it was. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. I keep up with my Disney CEOs, you know. It's like two that matter. Michael Eisner for the Renaissance and Bob Iger for buying every other company on the planet. That's how you remember them. Yeah, so
There
they
you go.
actually did a bunch of different translations of this song for various markets. And one thing that I found was really interesting was the French version of Scrooge points out his status and wealth as the lyrics are, he's the greatest boss of all the city. He's the most powerful. He's worth billions in gold and dollars. It's part of the
Incredible.
lyrics.
I love it.
The Spanish theme promises many adventures with the bad guys and also the good ones. Pretty good. The Norwegian one, roughly translated, come along, meet an acquaintance. Scrooge, Donald, people and animals offer you excitement. Here almost everything happens. Here almost everybody lives. Catchy.
The best part about that is almost everybody lives,
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the best part.
implying that characters died in this
They
show.
they may die, but you don't know.
But you don't know who.
Yeah, I also love that even some of the themes when translated, they changed the woohoo to a more culturally relevant sound.
Sure.
Yeah.
Like in Finnish, it's
Okay.
oh. The Norwegians go
Nice.
aha, and the Polish offer you. That tickled me.
Oh,
So there's
phenomenal.
I'll put the article in the show notes, but if you're more interested in the song and like how it came to be, I knew someone had done a full write up on this. I'm like, this has
of
to
course.
have an article somewhere where
sure.
somebody's written, like, dug into the underbelly of the universe and found things, and there was right there in Vanity Fair of all places, which was super fun. So
Okay,
anyway,
and-
we've been through a lot. I know we've already chewed up 20 minutes of this show just talking about how awesome it is. But there is a show that we watched, Raiders of the Lost Harp, season 1, episode 43 or 47, depending on where you look. That's how cartoons
Mhm.
work. And man, for a short episode of TV, a lot happened in this episode. So I'm
Really
going to
did.
do
Yeah.
my best to condense it. I might not do a very good job. But to start with, let's just pick a location on the map like the video game has us do. We wind up at an archaeological dig site outside of what appears to be ancient Troy. We know an awful lot about ancient Troy, even though we haven't discovered it yet, which I always find interesting. You know, like, it's there, there's all this stuff, but then you get down in there, it's like, oh yes, of course, the Trojans loved magical whatevers. It's like, but we just found the thing in here. Anyway,
Mhm.
it's not important. What matters is that we're in the city of Troy with some, I can't decide if it's like ethnically, racially offensive or not for the way
It
these
didn't
guys.
seem good. I didn't feel great
No.
about it.
No.
Like,
I didn't feel
It's-
great about it.
Yeah.
It is archaic, I believe.
There
would
was
be a good
something
way to
that
put
they
it.
have that the Disney Channel very much edited to be different though at the end of the episode.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I've definitely noticed it.
We'll have to.
And I mostly noticed it because it didn't match the closed captioning either. They were both different choices.
I see. Oh yeah.
Um,
Yes, I know what you're talking about. I saw that too, and I rewound
Yeah.
it to see if I saw it the same way.
Yeah, so we're
So-
getting into this whole part, right? And I'm like, all I'm thinking, right? First of all, I'm thinking about that X-Files episode. It's just that minus the ayahuasca. And then I'm like, man, he learned nothing talking to those ghosts, huh? Like Scrooge McDuck, like I love him, I really do, but he does hit different in 2024.
Oh yeah.
Very much
Oh, yeah.
so.
Oh,
Yeah, and back then we were like, look at the billionaire doing billionaire things and swimming in money. Now we're like, F that billionaire and his stupid money thing.
look at him like stealing artifacts from these indigenous peoples.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Jerks. So anyway, yeah, there's like really oddly somewhat racially insensitive chanting going on, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's 1980,
But not
whatever.
specifically, so I think it's
No.
okay.
No, it's Disney. Disney hasn't always been the best representation of what we should be.
No.
Just gonna go
really.
out there and say. But anyway, I'm not gonna sit here and blame them for that time. It's different. But here we are now, and we look at things with a different lens. But there is fun stuff in this episode. And one of those fun things is we find a magic harp. And you guys feel free to call out anything if I skip it that you feel is worth pointing out.
I just have a question about this world.
Yeah.
Because we obviously have like yeah, we got ducks, but we have other animals also for sure.
Right.
However, like in there, everything was like other than this minotaur statue, everything was ducks. Like they were all ducks. Helen was a duck.
Yep.
There were. It seems to be like anyone important is a duck,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Very much
and
so.
that I don't know. It was just, it's been a week, and my brain was going, "This is some deep commentary." And like, what are we doing? Where are all the other animals?
Yeah, where did everybody else? Why is it just ducks? And why are they the only ones with money and power?
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
We see who's a butler.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right?
By the way,
Yeah, the villain. Well, okay, so the villain in this one was a duck.
Yeah,
shoot,
and then
true.
the raven later, like, all right, well, but why is the raven a raven and not like why isn't he just walking around wearing pants? Like, what are
Right.
why?
Right.
Yeah, why is he a
Well,
pet?
I mean,
That's always been a thing. I mean, that's the
nobody's walking
Pluto,
around wearing too
the
many
Pluto
pants.
Goofy.
You know.
There's not a lot of pants in this.
no, there's not a lot of pants. But can we address for a second what on earth the designer was thinking when they made like the dog people? Like, I know I've accepted this just as a thing my whole life, but when I'm looking at it, I'm like, what really is a Goofy? What really is, a Ducksworth or whatever his name is, the butler guy, who I can't remember, his name escapes me.
Duckworth, yeah.
What
Even
are
though he's a dog.
those creatures? They're not dogs. They're like hairless pandas or something. That's not a dog. Pluto's a dog. What are these things?
I
Yeah,
remember reading
it's
something about
all-
Goofy not being a dog, and now I can't remember what it was.
There once upon a time there was a thing going around that said he was a cow, and that is just blatantly untrue.
No,
That's
that-
false.
That's
Yeah, that
because
doesn't make any
he
sense.
was, at the time, Maribel was like his girlfriend who was a cow. So they were like,
Yeah.
oh, Goofy must be a cow. It's like, no. he's
No,
not a cow.
that's-
No.
Dog knows.
Look, Gonzo dates a chicken, and nobody thinks about that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's
Right.
not a chicken.
Well,
Kermit and Piggy.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I mean, there's definitely looks Gonzo gets for his chicken.
Well, yeah.
Kermit and Piggy don't get it as much for some reason, but Gonzo definitely gets the
Well,
looks.
that's because Camilla's like an actual chicken, not a person, an
No,
anthropomorphic.
yeah, not like a cock, not like the turkey in Muppet Family Christmas.
Yeah. It's,
Mhm.
Camilla's definitely a chicken. Thank you, Jim Henson, for everything you gave us.
Thank you for everything.
Yes.
I don't.
Everything.
Oh,
Yeah.
Everything. JF says Goofy's name in French is Dingo. So I mean, that's Australian for
that's-
dog, as we know.
yeah.
So okay, all right, I'll let it go. I'm just wondering, and if anyone at Disney is listening and would like to let me know, go ahead and fill me in. But okay, so we get our magic harp that we've been looking for. It looks real good for its age, sitting in a box.
does.
Actually, everything in
Mhm.
this room looks good for its age. There's not a cobweb
There was a
on
really
anything.
good. There was a really good line where Scrooge is like, "Oh yeah, no, this is those kind of statues, and they always used them to guard, special treasure." And one of the boys is like, "Oh, that's your favorite kind."
And then he
That's
just
good.
climbs up the giant statue. Like, he's spry for an old man.
Yeah,
Oh,
he is.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
is
it's
able to
good
push,
money.
push
Yeah.
the top of that box off or whatever stone
Mhm.
it was.
Yeah.
He gets his blood transfusion every week. He just swaps it out with one of the boys.
He's coin
That's
operated.
why he has them around.
It's a billionaire thing to do.
Yeah, that's what they do. You harvest organs when you need one.
Yeah.
So we get the harp. We know it's Helen of Troy's harp, and she was super powerful, and it's like the artifact that Scrooge wants. So they go ahead and they take that home, and as they're leaving, the Minotaur statue wakes up because you crossed the seal with the holy relic,
Yep.
and
Yep.
Yep.
you can't be having that. It was fine when you're in there, but once you left, there's quite
Yep.
the delay on the Minotaur waking up, though. Like they were on the
Well,
boat.
he's pretty
and-
slow. You know, he's
Yeah.
big.
It's been a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he's
We
look,
let
that
the
guy can move.
entire wagon of gold.
Yes.
I'm like, you don't. What do you,
Well,
It's all
the
his
Minotaur
fault.
runs on tubes. They got to warm up.
yeah.
It takes a little bit.
It's really, yeah, they got to power up. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So they get on the boat, and we learn a little bit. I think this is where we learn about the harp. And we
We
kind of get
start
the
to.
idea. Yeah, we kind of get the idea that it will let you know if someone around you
Mhm.
or yourself is lying in probably the most obnoxious way
Mhm.
it could.
Mhm.
Because
Very much so.
I heard that tune. I didn't sound cap it because I couldn't stand it one more time. But it's horrible singing at the highest pitch of your fibbing. And I thought if I was Scrooge, I would throw that thing out the boat window right then and there. Be like, no.
I do love how he was playing. He's like, "What do you think of my harp playing?" And the boys are like, "Why don't you stick to playing the stock market?"
Yeah.
That
like,
was
"That's
real good.
a great joke. No kid got, but I get it now."
Yeah,
Well
Yeah.
done.
I understand it.
By the way, Russie Taylor, who did the voice of Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and Amy, you've said in the past as a voice actor, you have like basically two voices.
Yeah.
In this case, she did three characters with just one voice.
Just the one. Yeah.
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
didn't change it at all. But she also was the voice of the harp in this episode, so she was doing the
Oh.
singing.
Well, that's good. Man, doing Huey, Dewey, and Louie's voices would absolutely kill you. Like it's
Mhm.
this
Can't
Mhm.
imagine that.
weird squawky thing. I mean, I know
Well,
everyone
especially
probably
for their scenes, just having a conversation with yourself.
With each other. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's you kind of break your brain to begin with, but it made me think of Donald Duck and like who's the guy who did Donald Duck's voice originally? Does anybody remember?
I can't
Oh.
remember.
I just know that someone wants to string him up by his toes for just even starting with the
Yeah.
stuff. Like now, every voice actor ever after that. That's
Well, the
Donald
one who
Duck's
does
voice.
Donald now is really big on social media. He's a fun follow.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
great.
he's great.
I mean, once you kind of got a job, once you can pull that off for any
Mhm.
length of time, you're set. Same thing with Porky Pig.
Russie Taylor also does Martin Prince from The Simpsons.
Oh, I don't know.
That's
I don't
great.
know if
It's
I
real
know
good.
Nice.
Martin Prince.
Martin's like the nerdy kid in the white polo shirt, the kind of chubby guy.
Nah, I don't know.
Okay.
They're always making fun of him. I mean, he's not Millhouse, but he's the other one. They make
the
fun
other
of.
the other one, not
Cur-
Millhouse,
current
not
voice-
not Ralph. The other one.
No.
Clarence
Yeah.
Nash, a stigma says, was the
Yeah,
original
was
voice
the
of
first
Donald Duck.
Duck.
Yeah.
The current voice is Daniel Ross. Seek him
Okay.
out. Follow him. He's just so much fun.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you for that. So we find out about the harp. It can tell when you're lying. Then we go see Magica Dispel. One of the chief villains of the DuckTales universe. Who's always in a rivalry with Scrooge over whatever, and she finds out about the harp discovery. She goes through her safe to get the news about it so she can learn more, right? Wasn't there a paper talking
Well, she got the
about it?
news in the mail, which
That's right.
good gosh,
Yeah, and
news
that,
travels
like,
fast in print at
Right.
this
Rich
time.
Person magazine or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Tomb magazine was what she was excited about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I finally got my
in her
card.
safe-
I like her using magic to open the combination for the safe, and then it doesn't work, and so she just smashes it with a hammer.
Yeah.
Not a very effective safe.
Di-
No.
Classic Disney, smash it with a hammer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like she
And then-
did. She said, "Open says me," and it didn't, and that was great.
And then she pulls out a scroll talking about the harp from
Right.
whenever it was written.
The one item in the safe is a scroll about the harp.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you want to keep anything else in there? I know I have single-purpose safes. laying around.
Yeah.
Yeah, each one holds part of a doubloon. So we go back to Scrooge. He's fiddling with the harp, and Duckworth, his butler, comes by to ask, "Sir, have you thought about my raise?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I've been thinking about it." And the harp calls him out. No, you haven't.
Yeah, they're like,
Um,
it's just not. It's just not feasible.
right. I can't afford
can't
to
afford
right
it.
now. And
Yeah.
we're all sitting there going, "This is a man who swims around in a giant
Yeah.
tower filled to the brim with gold, and he's telling his butler that he can't afford it." I'm offended. Like, modern Steven's sensibilities are offended. 6-year-old
Yeah.
Steven's sensibilities didn't care. But modern ones like, holy crap, this has been going on a long time. We've
Yeah,
been
man.
celebrating this and didn't even know it. What is happening? It's as Amy said, it's been a week. So anyway, we learn and then Scrooge is like, "I'm gonna find out. I think this harp can tell when other people are lying. This could make me a bunch of money. No one can ever pull the wool over my eyes. Let's test it." So of course they go to the boys who have done what all children do, and that is clean their room. And by clean their room, hide everything under the bed or in the closet. So they shove it in the closet, getting it completely shut. And Scrooge walks in, is like, "Hey, did you boys clean your room?" And I can't remember the precise question that he asked them, because I mean, technically, they cleaned
Because
it.
he says so. Then he says, "Did you clean your room?" And the boys are like, "It's clean, isn't it?" And so they're like, they've got their back to the barely closed closet, and he's like, "So what's in there? Nothing."
Oh, then the fib,
Yep.
the
Gotcha.
fibbing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they definitely know that it works. And the boys are upset about this, and they know they've got to they got to figure out what they're going to do. So they do what all boys their age would do, and they think to themselves, "Where's somewhere we can do some thinking and get away for a while?" The arcade. Perfect, quiet place to go think about it.
Yeah.
So they put on their
The-
roller skates.
The video arcade is what they
The
call
video
it. I was like,
arcade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
nice.
sounds about right. They're going to
As
play.
opposed to the pinball arcade.
Right.
I get it.
I guess there is.
Listen, there was a place. There is, because there was a spot in downtown Traverse City growing up for me that was called the Arcade. And when I was real young, I didn't understand why there were no video games in there
Mm-hmm.
at all. It was just a bunch of shops.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
lame.
I was very confused by that.
You should have been. What are they even thinking? So the boys go to the video arcade on their roller skates, and we end up seeing more Magica go into the museum, because that's where the harp is supposed to be after Scrooge got it, so she can steal it. She goes there, and it's not there yet. And the Raven, voiced by Frank Welker, says Scrooge has the harp. And she has to come up with this idea of how she's going to get it back, and she learns that no man could resist Helen of Troy. So what does she do? Literally become Helen of Troy from the top down. Like, looks, got the robes, the leaves in your hair. It's like, I don't think they meant like you had to be Helen of Troy. I think you could but okay, all right. If we're gonna go that far, let's do it. Let's dive right in. So she ends up going over to.
Well, I love that she asked the Raven about it. It's like, "How do I look?" And he's like,
Yeah.
"Well, you look great. The voice could use some work."
Yeah, the accent's bad.
Yeah, her voice did not change. So she goes. So we have also got some interspersed clips of the Minotaur making his way to Duckberg,
Running under the sea.
just running under the sea. I mean, we've got some very Ghostbusters 2 Statue of Liberty vibes going on. Just running through here. So anyway, Helen of Troy evidently just can wander into Scrooge's office anytime she wants, because she shows up. And Scrooge, sitting there with his harp, he puts it away because she wants it. And he's obviously enamored, because that's how this works. Look, attractive duck lady, I can't even think straight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I mean, that's not far off from accurate. You know, as Robin
true.
Williams said, only enough blood to work one at a time. If you know the joke, you know the joke. So he's just gonna let it go until she pushes too hard for the harp. I think that was what clued him in, It's like something's not right, or the harp told him that she was lying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
because
heart
he's
kept
like, have I
telling her
met
that.
you somewhere before? She's like,
Yeah.
no.
Yep. So
Lying, lying,
yeah,
fibbing.
she's lying. He puts the harp away, and then a fight ensues where Magica becomes a giant, a wrestler, a
Yeah.
female
Well, yeah.
wrestler.
So first she reveals herself to be Magica, and then she
Mhm.
changes from Magica into a pro wrestler
Yeah.
and just starts tossing Scrooge around the room.
Yes.
You know.
Because Scrooge locks up the heart in his desk and then throws the key in the vault.
Yeah. And she's gonna just take the desk because the desk has
Yeah.
the harp in it, and she's big enough
Mhm.
to take it. At one point, I don't remember. I wrote this quote in here, but I don't remember where she said it. But it just says, "Is me, stupid ones," and that just
Oh, it's because she
When
takes
she
the desk down and puts it on top of the car and says drive, and Poe is like, who are you?
Mhm. Oh, and that's what she said.
Yeah,
Is
yeah,
me,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
she
stupid
changes back
ones.
to herself and
And
Yeah.
then there's a
It's
whole
me.
dang car chase through
Yeah, there is.
Duckberg.
Mhm.
That was cool. I was like, no wonder this show's one of the top ranked. There's just this is Nathan Drake Uncharted level action for a DuckTales cartoon. We're seeing
Mhm.
vistas. We've been in another country. We're underwater. We're in a submarine. We're at a
Yeah.
museum. We're all over the place. This took every background artist at Disney to make.
Oh, I definitely was watching this and thinking, man, the storyboard artists had their work cut out for them in every episode. Good Lord.
Yeah, this had a lot going on. So they have this car chase through Duckburg with the desk on top. The desk ends up flying off the car and over Magica and then down through the city. And now we're doing car chase, but we're on a desk, and Scrooge is on the runaway
Oh my
desk,
gosh.
which is made of some of the strongest wood ever.
Right.
I mean,
One of
it
my
is
favorite
cruising.
jokes was this. He goes through the intersection, the cops there is like, where'd you learn to drive? Office supply school?
That was really good. I wrote that down too. I was like, that's strong. So he's cruising through the streets on a runaway desk. The kids are coming out of the arcade at the same time, getting their roller skates on, talking about like, okay, what are we gonna do about this harp? We'll just talk it over with Uncle Scrooge. We'll be honest about it. Then Uncle Scrooge goes flying by, and they're like, well, we gotta catch him. So they go flying down the hill. Uncle Scrooge goes off the pier at the end of the road, which it's tropey, but it works. He goes off. The desk lands. They're like, I hope the desk can float. It does. Funny enough, the desk definitely
For a
floats.
bit.
Yeah, it's incredibly strong and floats. It's incredible. So anyway, Mr. Uncle Scrooge floats up with it. At this point, I'm going, this is a duck, but ducks in this land can't float effectively. So
No.
he's basically drowning out there.
He has to be saved.
Yeah,
Mhm.
he has to be saved, of course. So he gets on top of the desk, and I think the kids have a key to their roller skates, their skate key.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And
it
that
just,
works
Oh,
in
yeah.
Scrooge's desk.
any key will work in any lock.
Right.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. You just need something that goes in there to turn it, to get the heart back out. The key does work, and then now we're back underwater with the submarine and the Minotaur. The Minotaur is getting shot at, and this reminded me a lot of Independence Day, like because they shot the Minotaur, and as he goes white, it's like, did we get him? Confirm the hit, and it's the Minotaur is totally okay, and
Yep.
still coming
Perfectly
for
fine.
Duckburg. Yeah, still coming for Duckburg. So let's see, where are we at now? They're gonna do the
Well, they're
harp goes to
evacuating
museum
Duckburg.
now.
Right.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Right.
We're almost
Yeah.
there. We're
Yeah,
about to
we're
find that out.
Yeah, we're almost there.
Mm.
So they're going to the museum for the opening with the harp. Now that we've dealt with Magica and it's over, and they made this
Wow.
joke about Bruce Spring Chicken.
Yeah.
Yes.
That tickled me. I was real happy.
Which
about
again, like they're very fast and loose with what is like Disneyfied or changed in this world, because we have
Yeah.
Troy, but Troy is a lost city, but we know
Right.
Helen of Troy, but Bruce Springsteen is Bruce Spring Chicken.
Yeah.
Yes,
That's fair.
just
Did make me laugh.
a really great place to put Spring Chicken in the show.
Oh yeah.
We don't know if there's chickens in this world. We've never seen one. We know there's weird dog people and ducks. That's the only things we really have confirmed that I'm aware
In
of.
this
And
episode,
Yeah.
fish.
anyways.
Yeah. So the Minotaur is coming. Miss Beakley is here, but we never hear her say anything. But she is
Nope.
here,
No.
which is great. You always love to see Mrs. Beakley. We just didn't have Launchpad this episode, which was sad. But we learned that Scrooge has a bubblegum factory, and that's how we're going to stop this Minotaur. We're going to go to the bubblegum
Mhm.
factory. Huey Dewey Louie had
I
no
just
idea.
want to know how much of this collateral damage Scrooge McDuck will be paying for.
Oh yeah.
Because
none. Come on.
a
This guy's
lot happens here.
It's like
This is
there's also like Transformers level of stuff going on with making that much bubble gum out of that little factory.
yeah.
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 Like he's gonna make
Very
sure
good.
this is wrapped up in court for decades. You're never gonna see a penny.
This is what I'm saying. It's not good.
This is how he made his money. He's not gonna worry about legal stuff. Are you kidding me? No. He's smarter than that. So the Minotaur comes on land and wants that heart back, and is rampaging, and eventually gets stuck in all this bubble gum that they have unleashed from the factory. It's all over the streets. It's all over everything. Again, reminds me a lot of Ghostbusters too. Pink bubble gum everywhere.
Yeah.
I think Ghostbusters 2 might have picked up a lot off of what this show did. Well, you don't know. So they get, let's see, the ocean couldn't stop him. We got bubblegum. We got to give him the harp so he'll chill out. Oh, Magica. Magica was hiding in the
Mhm.
Trojan horse. We never saw her get in it, but she's in it.
Right.
And she gets out, goes after the harp. So then Magica escapes in a helicopter, right?
hmm
Yes.
I wrote down the old "I have to save the villain, but they won't listen" trope. I think
Yeah.
Scrooge at some point was like,
Mhm.
"I've got to save her because reasons, because she's gonna wreck
No,
everything."
she
because
had
they
the- see,
decided
he's
to
figured
give
out
the
he's-
heart back.
Yeah, he figured out he needs to give the harp back. She's escaping with the harp. He uses his cane to latch on to the bottom of the helicopter. The boys are like, "Be
Oh, that's-
careful!" Too late.
That's my favorite part because the boys are like, "You'll never make it," and then he just easily climbs up there. He's like, "Okay, he made it." I think
Yeah.
technically
I mean,
too.
The day before, they watched him scale the Minotaur
Yeah.
in
Right.
seconds. Like,
Yes, yeah, he made it. It's
He's
fine.
spry.
That cane,
Yes.
it's got some magic in it. And this is where the thing happened that Amy and I picked up on with the captions, I think.
Mhm.
If we're thinking of the same moment.
Yeah.
Because he's
Yeah.
in there and he just gets the heart back from Magica. It's not really a thing. He just grabs it.
No,
and
yoinks
then-
it out of her hand. And
Yeah, yoinks
There
it
it
and then
is.
jumps out. And the subtitles or the caption said tally ho, but
the
he said,
caption said tally ho.
yeah. What did he say?
He said
Churney
it
ham?
began with a G, but it wasn't the word that they wanted to use or that they originally used. I can't remember what it was though.
It's so
Gung
I wrote
ho.
down.
It was gung ho. I'm almost positive is
That
what
was the
he
original?
said.
No,
No,
I wrote down
I
what he
think-
said.
Oh,
I
what
wrote
did he
down-
say?
something that sounded like churny hum. that's what I wrote down. That's what I heard. I heard him go churny hum, and I was like, "What does that mean?"
What
We'll have
did
to
he
go
What
say?
back.
we're all
No.
doing when we finish this episode, we're gonna
Yeah,
go back
roll
and
the
just
tape.
check that one
Right.
little spot.
I swear it said churny
One
hum, but now I'm going to listen with gung ho or Geronimo in mind.
I'm sure that it was originally Geronimo, and we've moved
Mhm.
past. We're not doing that anymore, and that's great. I love that we're not doing that anymore.
Sure.
But it was like if we could just pair up what the words are and the captions, that'd be cool.
Swear he said
the
churny
captions.
I was like, that's not what we're
Churny hum.
doing. What?
I don't know what it was, but that's what I wrote down because I listened to it 3 times so I could try to write the phonetic sound I heard. And that's what I got. But you know how it is. He lands safely in the bubble gum. He gives the heart back to the Minotaur. The Minotaur like hugs all over it or something, becomes
Yeah.
like a good friend, and he's like,
They're
"Okay, I'm
buddies.
done here. I'm just gonna go home." The boys are not sorry that he had to give the harp away. And this was an exciting episode. I had a good time with it. We had everything. We had mystery, car chases, submarines, giant monsters, magica to spell,
Bubblegum.
bubblegum. I mean, almost everything mentioned in the theme song, and almost everybody lives. I mean, we don't know what
Yeah.
happened to those
Yeah.
guys in the submarine.
We don't know. There like a lot
Mhm.
happened.
Yeah, we had no
Collateral.
But it's
Webigail, but that's
it
okay.
is what I
No.
remember the show being, which was very action oriented.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember that about the show. Like there was always stuff going on, some sort of adventure happening. Um, so yeah, no, this was a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, it was an absolute blast. I had a good time. I know you guys did. And I hope that everyone out there who got to watch DuckTales did. And if you've got any feedback you'd like to give us on the episode or DuckTales in general, real quick, the new show. Have we all watched the new series that they rebooted?
No.
No, this makes
Okay.
me
I
want to
should
go back and
because
watch it now, like,
it's
and really
David
dive
Tennant.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I've
I
watched bits and pieces of it here, and like I said, knew they incorporated the moon theme into it and stuff. It
yeah.
goes places for sure.
I found it to be really, really good. So I watched it with Sam a few summers ago when we were staying at a beach house and there wasn't really a lot to do certain days. We just sit downstairs and watch DuckTales, and it was really good. It had a very modernized storyline, like a story arc.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You could see the villains
Sure.
Okay.
show up and people
Yeah.
grew and things happened and it mattered. It
Mhm.
wasn't like cartoons back in the day. We'd see like, oh, the money bin's destroyed, but then the next episode, the money bin's fine. Everybody, no consequences. This is more
It's
like,
fine. You can fix
okay,
it. There's money.
yeah, it's oh yeah, you totally fixed it. Or at most you'd see it mostly put together like a band-aid on it. It's like
Yeah.
Right.
that's cartoon
Mhm.
logic. But I thought it respected the original material really, really well, and it made its own place in the world in a good way. So I recommend the new show if you're into it. Um as far as the old show, did it live up to your memories and expectations, and would you watch more of it? Amy.
Yeah, I mean, from what I remembered, I didn't remember much, if we're honest. No, I really liked it, and I had, like I said, conflicting feelings about Scrooge McDuck because I did really like him, but then there's that part of me that's like, man, screw this guy. No, I thought it was good. I thought it was fun. I would for sure watch more, and I would for sure watch the new one too.
Nice.
Absolutely.
Travis, how about you?
Yeah, I had a great time with it. You know, Alan Young is as Scrooge McDuck is always great. You know, the new series has David Tennant, so they actually have a Scottish-born actor playing the Scottish character of Scrooge McDuck. But Alan Young did grow up or spend some time when he was younger in Scotland, so that does
I
help.
didn't realize that he's Wilbur from Mr. Ed. I did
Oh yeah,
not.
no,
I did not
absolutely.
know that.
Oh
Yeah, those are like
wow.
the only two things I know Alan Young from is Mr. Ed and as the voice of Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah.
No, I love the show and it was super fun to go back and watch it. I'll definitely watch more. One thing that for Audie especially will appreciate this show gave Andrea Romano her start as a voice director.
Yeah.
And she went
I
on
knew
to
that.
be the voice director for like all the Disney stuff, Batman the animated
All the Warner
series.
Brothers stuff. Like
Yeah, like
she
all of it.
cast all of the DC animated stuff until
Mhm.
just recently. Like I
Yeah.
think she's retired officially a few years ago.
But she got her start on this show. This was her
Mhm.
first credit as a voice director. So I thought that was really cool. But yeah, no, this show was great and I had a blast.
Yeah, so glad. How about you, Audie?
Oh yeah, loved it. Nostalgia bomb all the way from the theme song on. Yeah, I'd watch more of it. I definitely want to watch the reboot and get into that. And need to. I'll go get my Amber Neck and start playing the NES game. Some have some fun with that.
Yeah, it
The
really made me want to
remaster
go
of
back
that
and play
game
the
is
NES game.
also the remaster is pretty good too.
Oh yeah, it's still the same functionality, but the animation is all updated and it looks great.
Yeah, it looks wonderful. I think I have it on Steam. It was one of those like $2 sale things. I'm like, I'm
Right.
getting that.
Right.
That's that game as a tie-in that worked is rare. Back then, I don't
Mhm.
know that people can appreciate now that video game. Almost every movie and TV show had some sort of video game tie-in, and most of them were awful.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I think the Disney ones were pretty good. Like
they
I
were
played
good.
the
Yeah.
hell out of the Aladdin and Lion King.
Oh
Are
yeah.
you
Aladdin for
kidding
sure.
me?
Those were both real good.
Yeah, those were
Yeah.
real good.
Okay,
The
we
Aladdin
should
one was so good.
Which one did you have? Were you Super Nintendo or Genesis? Because I know there was differences.
They
in
were
those.
different.
Super Nintendo.
See, we
We
were
were
a
a
Genesis
Nintendo
house,
family.
so
The Genesis one looked
Mm.
better. Not gonna
It
lie.
As long as the old NES era licensed video game did not have the LJN rainbow on it, you were fine.
Mhm.
Those
Yeah.
were terrible.
Yeah.
Those were not good at
Yeah.
all. But other licensed games,
Yeah, but
they did a
like,
pretty decent job with it. And
mean,
Yeah.
the Disney ones, that was one of them.
DuckTales, I don't remember if Chippendale was too, but I know DuckTales was done by the people behind the Mega Man franchise. Like,
Oh, that makes a lot
Yeah,
of
it was a
sense.
Capcom game.
yeah.
How it plays makes sense.
Mhm.
Knowing that. Yeah, but you're and also remasters are available for the Lion King and the Aladdin game
Nice.
now. So if you do want to go back and kind of just
Yeah,
hate your
there's some-
life trying to get through it, you can. They were
Yeah.
challenging.
They-
They
With
were
no
hard.
saves.
No
Mhm.
saves.
Right.
You got to beat
Don't.
it in one
I'm turning
sitting.
the TV off. Don't turn the Nintendo
Yeah.
off.
I
Right.
also,
Exactly.
Also remember, I'm going to bring it back to Gargoyles. There was a Gargoyles game at the time
Mhm.
that was just barely associated with the game or with the series, but I still loved it anyways because it was Gargoyles. But
It's gargoyles. What you gonna
Incredible.
do? I mean, come on.
Mhm.
and I think I
Uh,
saw somewhere where it was re-released or something. One of those things.
I think
Let's
you're right. I
go.
vaguely remember that. There's been a lot of gargoyles hype,
Mhm.
kind of rumbling in the underbellies of the internet for a
Right.
while.
Well, because the guy who created it and wrote it started writing the comics that are officially canon following the series.
Right.
And everybody's like, "Great, this is great. When are we getting another series?" It's like,
Yeah.
your guess is as good as mine.
Who has lots of money? Scrooge McDuck. That's who.
Right.
AKA Disney. So we do have some feedback this week, which is exciting. Thank you for the
Nice.
feedback for sending email. So this is from
Ooh.
Sean talking about our DuckTales episode. Says, "Hey all, I'm excited for you all to cover an episode of DuckTales for your show. This show was an important part of my childhood, along with Darkwing Duck, Tailspin, and Goof Troop. Hope you all had a blast watching this week's episode. Lots of love for you all. Sincerely, Sean." Thank you for that email, Sean. I think we've said it.
Yeah.
We had an absolute blast. And you reminded me of Goof Troop.
Yes.
Man, I loved Goof Troop.
Now that
Probably more than
in my
this.
head.
Yeah, right.
Also, underrated Disney cartoon was Bonkers.
I loved Bonkers.
Bonkers was a
Mhm.
lot of fun.
Because he was a
Good one.
cop, right? And he was like the
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
detective of crime amongst the tunes. I
Yep.
just remember I loved the Mad Hatter in that show because the Mad Hatter was a recurring character. You never saw him outside
I
of Alice
loved
in Wonderland until that.
my favorite two side characters in Bonkers were Detective Lucky Pickell and Fall Apart Rabbit.
Oh, I love
Mhm.
Fall Apart Rabbit.
Fall Apart Rabbit was great.
There is so much in those old cartoons and so many side characters that you could make some sort of Disney like Avengers universe out of these
You really
Like,
could.
absolutely.
side
You
characters.
really could.
I mean, that's basically Roger Rabbit, though. So
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, the
Good point.
Chippendale movie.
Well, they kind of did that with the DuckTales reboot, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They
Oh.
brought in a bunch
Mm.
of people, and the Chippendales movie had a lot of throwbacks and weird stuff in
yeah.
it. If you watch, and now everybody loved it. I thought it was fun. But I also have a kid to watch it with, which if you're going to
Right.
watch anything that you think might be stupid, watch it with a small child, and everything that you thought was going to be stupid, you end up having fun.
Yeah.
It's just you have a different set of eyes
was-
giving you perspective you otherwise would have missed.
It was fun for what it was. I was hoping when they announced it that it was going to be something closer to what they did with the DuckTales reboot, and it was not anywhere close to that. But
Mm.
Yeah,
it was fun for what it was.
That's fun. That's fun.
We did get one other bit of feedback from last week's episode about Koala Walla Land, which was Bethany
Yes.
Fox on Twitter responded to me,
Oh,
my
yeah.
post on it, saying, I never watched the show, but I did used to watch an Australian koala show called The Adventures of Blinky Bill,
All right.
which I do not remember that one at all. So
No.
must have never made the trip over here.
amazing.
Yep. But this was a lot of fun. Thank you all. If you have feedback you want to send us, you should do that. You see how excited we got just then? Those were today's show at gmail.com. You can also find us in social media everywhere. Just throw out a few: The Audie Norman, TV's Travis, Danny Ora and Steve H&H, because I don't know who goes over to the bird site anymore. The dead
No, I
bird
don't
site.
go there.
We just go to our social.
I'm
social
everywhere else
media.
though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're everywhere.
I'm on the butterfly site quite a bit now.
Yep.
I like that one. I've liked that one
I
for
like
a long
that
time.
one.
There's just nobody there. I felt like I was
Right, but
Yeah,
now
it's-
everybody's
everywhere.
there, and it feels
Mhm.
Yep.
like the bird site in the old days.
Yeah, it does. It feels. It
And
feels
the
pretty
block
good.
lists, big fan.
Mm.
You can
One
still
click, block
people.
everything, phenomenal stuff.
Yep. It's great. Make your social media what you want it to be, so that it feeds you
Yes.
and doesn't take your soul. But with that, we're going to be doing another show next week, and Amy is going to be bringing us something. Amy, where are we going next week?
I am. I'm compelled as always to bring the girl vote in here to our show.
Bring it.
So I
Bring it.
had to do a lot of choices. I had a lot to pick from because there's a lot of really good girl shows, girl 80s cartoons. But we're going to be watching She-Ra, Princess of Power.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Season 1, episode 45, Huntara. It's on the YouTube. There's a lot of them on the YouTube. We'll put a link in the show notes. Yeah, She-Ra.
Oh, this is going to be great. She-Ra.
Heck
I'm so
yeah.
excited. I don't remember
Nice.
watching that. I'm very excited to get an opportunity. So this is going to be great. Thank you so much, Amy. Looking forward to that. To everyone else, if you want to continue the conversation, twodorks.net/Discord. Get in there. Say hello. We talk all the time. I'm in there every day. Me and a handful of other wonderful human beings will make you feel right at home. And with that, I think that's it for us. For Amy, for Travis, for Audie, and myself. We'll see you next time here on Those Were the Days.